Thumbs up if you can hear me. Perfect, perfect. Well, I know this is possibly, I don't know how it goes typically. You will have your normal instructor back next week. I normally like to open things up though with some good news. So before we jump into real estate exam prep, who wants to unmute themselves and share some good news? It could be real estate related, yet it doesn't have to be, but go ahead and unmute. We can wait. I know somebody's thinking of some kind of good news. Could be something about real estate, could be something about something going on in your life, could be that you just enjoyed the day.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I'm just enjoying the fall weather.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing. It is gorgeous out. I love this time of the year. Thank you so much for sharing. Who else has some good news? Well, I'll share some. We just had another one of our productivity coaching clients. Again, my name is Eric Akbar. I am a productivity coach along with a real estate agent and investor. One of my coaching clients who's been in the business for like 20 years or so, just jumped into real estate coaching. He immediately capped, and then he just bought his first investment property and he's looking into buying his second one. So as soon as he got into the right actions, started making the right moves, making passively probably about $500 to $600 per month now through investing in real estate. And we talk about exactly how to do that in coaching. So yeah, pretty exciting. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen and we will go ahead and get started here. Now, again, it's been quite some time since I've passed this test. So I'm going to be relying a lot on everyone in this room as well to help out. Please go ahead and unmute if we get stuck on one and like explain, like if you're aware of why the answer is right that you have, please feel free to jump in. I will help where I can. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. Does anyone want to start with a specific area? You can go ahead and type in the chat if you want.
Financing.
We can do that. All right. Question number 1. If a lender is charging a borrower an interest rate of 5% and is also charging the borrower 2 points, what is the lender's yield? Pull up the chat. Just like last week, go ahead and start typing in the chat your answers. A is going to be 5 1/4, B is 7 1/4, C is 10, and D is 7. Is the chat working, or are we just unsure of the answer here? Let me check here. There we go. Here are the answers. So we're getting C's, D's, unsures. Let's see what we've got here. So it's 5 1/4. So the lender's yield is a rate of interest plus points. So 5% plus 0.025, 2 points equals 5.25 when calculating points on an exam, remember that it takes 8 points to equal 1% of interest. So when we hear about points, I can tell you this. When we talk typically about points, we are going to be talking about, sorry, I'm just adding a couple more people to the room here. When we're talking about points, it's 1% of the loan amount. Yet when we are talking about a yield, it's going to be 8 points per percent. So from 5 to 6 is going to be 8 points. Here it's going to be going from 5.0 to 5.25. So does anybody have questions about that? You can speak up if you do. Let me move that out of the answer box there too. All right, we will jump on to the next question. Take your photos if you need. 3, 2, 1. An investor wants a 9% rate of return on his investment. Ooh, I like this one. How much income will the property have to generate a property price of $980,000? So this would be, they don't say it here. I'm assuming that this is going to be on a yearly rate. Go ahead and start typing in the chats. A is 100, B is 5,000, C is 88,200, or lastly is 20,000 on D. C it is of $88,200. Now I want everybody to kind of also realize, like, somebody who's buying $1 million property is making a profit of about $88,000 a year, a healthy yearly income. So that is 100% correct. Moving on, Sally and George, a married couple, have elected to buy a home. Their calculated PITI is well within the qualifying housing ratio percentage. What does PITI stand for? I'll let you read those on your own. A, B, C, or D? The answer to the previous question was $88,200. So on a $980,000 purchase, if they're making 9%, they're making about $88,000. Those who answered D are correct. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Oh, why are they getting the 9%? Great question. The reason they're getting the 9% is that's what they're renting the property for. So if you buy a $100,000 house and you're making 9% after debt servicing, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, you know, you should be making somewhere around $9,000 a year because of the rent that you're receiving minus your items you have to pay for. Let me know if I answered that question. If not, go ahead and type in another one. A variable alternative to foreclosure would be filing a lis pendens notice, a deed in lieu of foreclosure, filing an attachment, or filing a writ of execution. B is correct, deed in lieu of foreclosure. A property description uses natural monuments and markers and has a beginning and ending at the same point is known as a recorded plat of subdivision, government rectangular survey, lot and block description, or meets and bounds description. By the way, make sure you are typing in your answers here. This is real play. Remember, this is not an easy test that you're up against. Make sure you are typing in your answers, test your answers, and if you were wrong, figure out why you were wrong. This one's pretty simple, that if you were incorrect, it's just going to be a quick description here. You can take a photo of the bottom of the screen. I'm talking about meets and bounds description. but that's more of a memorization than an understanding question. So I will move on in 3, 2, 1. Next one, a purchaser securing a loan using a deed of trust. I'm sorry, purchaser secured a loan using a deed of trust. Now that the borrower has defaulted on the loan, the trustee finds the buyer and seller, finds the buyer to sell the title to. Which instrument did the trustee use to convey title to the new owner? Trustee deed, A. B is quitclaim deed, C is deed of trust, or D is recovenant's deed. I'm getting A, B, C, D. We're getting quite a few here. I'm going to take a stab at deed of trust, and I'm sorry, it's a reconveyance deed. It's actually a trustee deed. So a quitclaim deed is commonly used to clear up clouds on title. Yep. A deed of trust puts the title into the trust where it stays until the loan is satisfied or goes into default. That is why that is the correct answer. A reconveyance deed gives the title to the borrower when he pays off the loan. In default, the trustee is instructed by the lender to sell the property. When this happens, the trustee uses a trustee deed. Take a photo of that if you got it wrong. And moving on. Which is a document that uses real property to secure debt? A, mortgage, B, promissory note, C, trustee deed, or D, chattel mortgage? I only see a couple of answers. Keep them coming in. Keep them coming. Thank you, Kristen. A mortgage is the correct answer. If you did have C, which I know we just went through in the last question, go ahead and take a quick photo and we will jump in. I love that we have a lot of varying answers this week. I know last week it was like almost everyone was hitting them head on. We want to see where we're making mistakes because that's what's going to prep us best. So if you're unaware, take that photo, study it later on. 3, 2, 1. After a borrower makes the last payment on a loan secured by deed of trust, which instrument will the trustee use to revest title to the borrower? A, limited warranty, B, reconveyance deed, C, trustee deed, or D, general warranty? We're getting a lot of B's, and that is correct. General warranty deed conveys title from a grantor to a grantee, as does a limited warranty deed. A trustee deed is used by the trustee in the event of default, which, I'm sorry, when the loan is paid in full. In title theory, in a title theory state, the borrower finally gets the title with a reconveyance deed. Go ahead and take a photo if you got it wrong. 3, 2, 1. And the Fair Credit Reporting Act gives borrower which right? A, all of the answers listed. B, right to dispute inaccuracies in their credit reports. C, right to free copy of their credit reports if they have been denied credit due to information in them, or D, the name of anyone who has received a copy of the borrower's report in the last 6 months. I believe the answer is A as well. Looks like everybody's guessing that, and that is correct. Moving on. All of the following statutes require the disclosure of closing costs except Truth in Lending, B, Regulation Z, the FCRA, or RESPA. Keep the answers coming. We're getting few in here. It is actually FCRA is the correct answer. Go ahead and take a photo of this while I read it, but Truth in Lending and Regulation Z require the disclosure of loan-related costs. So think about that. Truth in Lending and Regulation Z require disclosure of loan-related costs. Closing costs are disclosed as a requirement of the Real Estate Settlement and Procurers Act. We always call it RESPA. FCRA is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which regulates the collection of credit information. That makes a lot more sense. So the FCRA is just about your credit. All the rest are going to be around loan-related costs and closing costs. So, all right. Moving on. RESPA regulations would not apply to A, the second subordinate lien for the home equity loans, B, loans for 1 to 4 family residences, C, a transaction financed solely by purchase money mortgage taken by a seller, or D, first lien residential mortgages. What do we have here? A, B, C, or D? RESPA regulations would not apply to the second subordinate lien for home equity loans, B, loans that are 1 to 4 family residences, C, a transaction financed solely by a purchase money mortgage taken by a seller, or D, first lien residential mortgages. Any guesses here? I didn't see anybody type in on that one. They're coming in now. Seeing quite a few different answers here. C is the correct answer. Transaction financed solely by a purchase money mortgage taken by a seller. RESPA regulations apply only to loans financed by federally regulated mortgage loans. That's FHA, VA, or loans intended to be sold by the lender to a secondary mortgage market. RESPA applies to 1 to 4 family homes on home purchases only. All right, next one. The term debt service refers to the amount of money paid in regular intervals to reduce the balance owed on a debt. B, the amount of money owed on a note to or promise to pay. C, instrument used in many states used in place of a mortgage. Or D, movement of money out of a savings account into a higher yield investment. What do you think that answer is? Go ahead and type them in the chat. The term debt service refers to. It's okay if we're wrong. Go ahead and type them in. A is correct. Let's go ahead and keep moving on here. 3, 2, 1. What financing method does not use 2 ratios for qualification? FHA, all the answers listed use 2 ratios, would be B. C is conforming conventional, or D is going to be VA. What are your answers? Thank you, Kristen, Lisa. Who else has an answer here? I'm going with B, and you guys are correct, D. VA uses a residential income method in lieu of the housing expense ratio. Residual income is what the veteran has left after paying taxes and housing expenses. One form of seller financing is A, land contract, B, non-conforming, C, lease purchase, or D, lease option? Go ahead and type in your answers. This one should be land contract. Lease purchase and lease option are very similar forms of that, but it's not actually transferring. It's really a lease with a purchase or a lease with an option. So that's why it's that way. Non-conforming is just talking about non-Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loans. RESPA requirements would not apply in which situation? A, the property is purchased with a federally related mortgage loan. B, the property mortgage is guaranteed by VA. C, the property mortgage is insured by FHA. Or D, the conventional loan will not be sold on the secondary mortgage markets. Go ahead and type in your answers. We got a couple in. D is correct. Moving on. The term debt refers to an instrument used in many states in place of a mortgage. B, the amount of money owed on a note or promise to pay. C, the transfer of real property by a private owner to a public agency. Or D, the movement of money out of savings accounts into higher yield investments. What do we have? A, B, C, or D? B is correct. Another odd way of looking at debt or interest is, I should say interest is the cost of money. It's referred to often as. But yeah, the amount of money owed on the note or promise to pay is a debt. RESPA prohibits a buyer from using her own attorney. Buyer from receiving an investment of closing costs. C, buyer giving a bonus to an agent for an outstanding job. Or D, lender from receiving the secret profits or kickbacks from service providers. D is correct. Go ahead and take a photo of that if you got it wrong. We will keep moving on in 3, 2, 1. What type of note calls for interest payments only during the term of the loan with the principal due at the end of the loan? A, installment loan. B, wraparound loan. C, term loan. Or D, amortized loan. What type of note calls for interest payments only during the term of the loan with the principal due at the end of the loan? A, B, C, or D? Term loan is correct. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Sorry, my AirPods died. I just wanted, I just switched them out real quick. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Perfect. Thank you, Kristen. All right, moving on. All right, a real estate firm has an in-house title company, mortgage broker, and home inspection company under one business entity. This is allowable only if controllable business arrangements are clearly disclosed
to the consumer, and the consumer is aware of other providers are available. B, the consumer uses the in-house lender. C, fees are exchanged among the affiliate companies for referrals. Or D, there is no duty to disclose a relationship between to the consumer. A is correct. We call that an ABA, affiliated business arrangement in the business. You will see that happen often. Looks like everyone got that one correct. Typically, a developer builder would have which type of mortgage on his development? Interest only with annual payments due, a wrap around with partial release clause, C, conventional, fully amortized, or D, blanket. Typically, a developer or builder would have which type of mortgage on his development?
Blanket is what we're looking for. Interest, well, I'll let you go ahead and read this at the bottom, but yeah, take a photo of that if you did not get it correct. Typically, these are going to be blanket mortgages. Great job. Let's do one more in this session. And if you have any other requests of something you want to jump into, go ahead and type them in the chat. But after buying a property at sheriff's foreclosure auction, which document would a person receive to prove that he is entitled to the deed upon confirmation of sale? A, certificate of habitation. B, certificate of no defense. C, certificate of sale, or D, certificate of title. D is correct. Oh, I am wrong, actually. Certificate of sale is the correct answer. So a certificate of sale issued to a buyer at a judicial sale foreclosure action entitles the buyer to a deed upon confirmation of the sale by the court. So go ahead and take a photo of that one. If you got that wrong like I did, you were very close, one word off. Moving on. In a foreclosure sale, the debtor may be a successful bidder and be awarded the title to the property. B, may not bid on the property. C, advertises to secure exposure for the sale. Or D, is freed of any future responsibility regarding the liens. We've got B, A, this is a tough one because they do have something that even after they get foreclosed on, or even after the sale happens, they can come back and buy it. And I think that's kind of what they're going after. They are allowed to bid on it though. Next question. A buyer agrees to purchase real property by making monthly payments to the seller and then receiving a deed at a later point of time. Such agreement is known as A, construction loan, B, straight term mortgage, C, land installment contract, or D, certificate of sale. So A, construction loan, B, straight term mortgage, C, land installment contract, or D, certificate of sale. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break at the end of this quiz too for everyone. So if anybody needs to return a text or a call, we can do that, but it'll be a quick 5-minute break at the end of this question series. Next one, how many square feet in 2 acres? A little bit of a trick one. A, 75,000, B, 65,000, C, 87,120, or D, 90,000. 87,120 should be the answer. 43,560 times 2. Very good. Next question, which is the right of defaulting, which is the right of the defaulting borrower in a title theory state where a borrower is able to be to redeem the property after the sale is confirmed? A, equitable redemption, B, statutory redemption, C, quiet title, or D, the borrower has no right of redemption. We have an A, B, this is a tough one. B was the correct answer. Quiet title is a lawsuit to determine who has title. Equitable title is the right for a borrower to redeem before confirmation. Equitable right of redemption is the right of the defaulting buyer to redeem the property from a foreclosure before the sale is confirmed. And then statutory redemption, which is the correct one, is the right for the defaulting borrower in a title theory state where a borrower is able to redeem the property after the confirmation of sale. All right, moving on. When a defaulting borrower redeems the property after foreclosure, but before the confirmation of sale, which instrument will he use? A, redemption certificate, B, sheriff's deed, C, reconveyance deed, or D, certificate of title. So when a defaulting borrower redeems the property after foreclosure, but before the confirmation of sale, which instrument will he use? Tracy, I love that you're taking guesses. It's okay if anybody too is like, hey, it could be A or C. I know we can't do that on the test, but please go ahead and type in your answer. It's going to help you out a ton for the test coming up. Redemption certificate is correct. The certificate title transfers. A certificate of title transfers title by will. A reconveyance deed is issued when a deed of trust has been satisfied. A redemption certificate is what the borrower uses to redeem the property after the sale, but before its confirmation. That's what we were talking a little bit about, how a buyer, somebody who gets foreclosed on can actually get a redemption certificate after the sale actually happens. I think there's usually about a 30-day window there. Each January, a homeowner receives an estoppel certificate from his bank indicating the amount of taxes and insurance held in escrow, B, the amount of real property taxes a homeowner will owe for the upcoming year, C, the amount of principal remaining on the mortgage, or D, closing costs incurred by selling the home. Who's got it? So usually, well, the amount of principal remaining on the mortgage. So they also are going to do an escrow balance, but the estoppel certificate they're referring to is specifically around the principal remaining on the mortgage. So if you do see something about an escrow analysis, that is something that is different. Moving on. AGI loan is the same as a blank loan, a VA loan, a co-insured loan, an FHA loan, or a conventional loan. A GI loan.
Something like a VA, GI Joe.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, so it is a VA loan. So if you hear a GI loan, that's exactly it. All right, moving on. Which loan is not guaranteed? That's a good way of memorizing it, by the way. GI Joe, think of it that way. Which loan is not guaranteed or insured by a government agency? A, amateurized, B, conventional, C, VA, or D, FHA?
Conventional.
Conventional is it. Remember, FHA and VA loans are not actually paid by the government. They are guaranteed by them. Next one, interim financing is used during construction of a building, followed by a long-term financing is called A, bridge loan, B, conventional loan, C, FHA mortgage, or D, construction loan. Interim financing used during construction of a building, followed by a long-term loan is called a
Intro. A bridge.
So we'll pause real quick on this one. Your conventional and FHA, I think everybody knows what those are. A bridge loan is used when you have to sell a house and then buy a new house. So what they do is they bridge that loan. And what they do is they say, you're only going to have one mortgage payment for, call it 90 days. After 90 days, if your house isn't sold, you're going to go back to 2 payments. Construction loan, or also known as construction to perm loans, is the answer that they're looking for. And that's where during the build process, because they don't know exactly how much it's going to cost, is going to be bouncing around in the total amount of the loan amount. So it might be 100,000, then 200, then 300, because they're doing draws to each trade or to the builder. And at the end, they say, okay, your total amount that you spent was $324,000 on the build. Now you are locked in. The reason I'm explaining that, hopefully it's an easier way to remember. Instead of just memorizing this, you're actually seeing it in a usable way. That at least helps me memorize and learn these answers a little bit easier. All right, let's go back to the dashboard, and it looks like the challenge I had, at least for the moment, worked its way out. So we can keep going here. Next vote, what do we want to learn? Let's go back to, where was that drop down menu? We can go to property ownership, land and use controls and regulations, value and market analysis, financing, general principles of agency, property condition and disclosures, contracts, transfer of title, practice of real estate calculations, state governance, and real estate profession, licensing requirements, licensing laws and rules, brokerage relationships.
Ownership.
Where was that? Very good. We'll go to contracts next, Tracy. Sorry, I didn't see your drop down in there. All right, John dies and leaves a township 10 acres and uses it as it wishes, but not on a Sunday. If the land is used for any purpose on a Sunday, ownership will pass on to his son, Bill. What describes the interests of the township and Bill respectively? A, township, a fee simple defeasible estate. Bill, a revisionary interest. B would be township, a fee simple absolute estate. Bill, a life estate. C, township, an estate for years. Bill, a periodic tenancy. Or D, township, a fee simple determinable estate. Bill, a remainder interest. D is correct, a fee simple determinable estate, and Bill, a remainder interest. Go ahead and take a photo of the bottom category here if you got that wrong or were unsure, and they're going to go through each and every one of those for you. Moving on, a lien filed with the sole purpose of preventing a transfer of property pending the outcome of litigation is called A, tax lien, B, mechanics lien, C, judgment lien, or D, lis pendis. Again, a lien filed for the sole purpose of preventing a transfer property pending the outcome of litigation. Lis Pendis is correct. Looks like everyone got that one correct. Legal description of a property based on lines of longitude and latitude, townships and sections is described as A, government rectangular survey, B, meets and bounds, C, lot and block, or D, recorded plat of subdivision. Government rectangular survey. So a government rectangular survey system consists of townships which are drawn according to the parallel lines of longitude and latitude. The townships are then divided into sections that are further divided into quarters, halves of quarters, and quarters of quarters. We talked about that last week. The recorded plat of subdivision method and the lot and block method are the same and usually used in residential subdivisions. The meets and bounds legal description is based on points of beginning, distances, directions, and degrees. All right, moving forward, which is legal description, which type of legal description would a new residential subdeveloper most likely use? A, lot and block, B, government rectangular survey, C, meets and bounds, or D, sections and townships?
Is it meets and bounds?
It is going to be a lot and block, A. So again, take a photo of what we got in the questionnaire rationale, they call it. But let me just pull out of here. Most states have laws that require the use of lot and block method to describe real property if a newly created parcel are small, if the newly created parcel are smaller than the minimum required by the statute, so per lot size. So remember, for the lots and the newer developments, you're going to be seeing lot and block. The addition of soil to a property by gradual operation of natural causes is termed A, ad valorem, B, accretion, C, alluvium, or D, erosion. B is going to be correct. Looks like we had that. After a buyer purchases property, he has a survey made and finds that his neighbor's property, that his neighbor recently built a fence on his land. This is an example of A, encroachment, B, adverse possession, C, appurtenance, or D, a party wall. A is correct, encroachment. ABC Remodeling Incorporated buys a new warehouse for its truck and access building materials. How will it take title? A, tenants buy the entireties, B, tenants in common, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy and severalty. I believe it's going to be D, and that is correct, tenants and severalty. Go ahead and take a photo at the bottom before we move on. 3, 2, 1. To find out whether there is an encroachment on a property, a person should purchase a survey, B, homeowner's insurance, C, mortgage insurance, or D, title insurance. What would help us find an encroachment? Remember, an encroachment is where something on a neighboring property like a fence or a shed or a driveway is on our property. A survey is the correct answer. Next question, which would be considered an encumbrance but not a lien? A, mechanic's lien, B, a mortgage, C, an easement, or D, IRS taxes. which would encumber but not be a lien. Looks like we got that all correct. C, easement. A mortgage is a lien. It actually prevents something from transferring. A mechanic's lien would be the same thing. IRS taxes would be a lien as well. All right. How many acres are in a government rectangular survey that consists of southwest quarter, northeast quarter, northwest quarter of Section 13, London Township? So we've got quarter, quarter, quarter. Ten is the correct number because 640 acres divided by 4 divided by 4 divided by 4 is 10. So that is correct. Great job. All right, next one. What was our contracts? Let's go into contracts. All right, the scope of and purpose of a real estate contract does not include the sale of A, a home, B, personal property, C, fixtures, or D, real property. Personal property is correct. A bilateral contract is one that binds only one party to an agreement, binds both parties to an agreement, is unenforceable, or is void. B, bilateral means binding both parties to an agreement is correct. Which would a buyer prefer, land installment contract or purchase money mortgage? A, either, as both convey equitable title. B, purchase money mortgage. C, either, as both convey legal title. Or D, land installment contract. Purchase money mortgage is correct. Looks like we all had that. Next one, which has occurred when a contract has been rescinded and each party returns the other with any consideration. Sorry, guys. Which has occurred when a contract has been rescinded and each party returns to the other any consideration that has been tendered? Replacement, restitution, reconciliation, or restoration? Go ahead and type your answers in. I believe restitution is the answer we're looking for. Restitution is the rescission where the contract is undone and obligation, all obligations are terminated and all consideration is returned. So restitution is what we're looking for. Next up, if a buyer in a contract for a deed land contract who has paid less than 20% of the purchase price defaults, the seller may initiate foreclosure proceedings, B, initiate forfeiture proceedings, B, initiate foreclosure proceedings, C, wait 10 days, then sell to someone else, or D, file a judgment lien. If a buyer in a contract for deed land contract who has paid less than 20% of the purchase price defaults. So it's actually initiating forfeiture. I believe you have to have over 20%. If land contract has been in place for less than 5 years or the amount paid by the buyer is less than 20% of the purchase price, the seller may initiate forfeiture proceedings 30 days after giving the buyer notice of the default and intent to sell. Let's just see if they have, if payments have been made totaling more than 20% of the purchase price, or if the contract has been run for longer than 5 years, foreclosure proceedings are required. Judgment liens are involuntary financial encumbrances recorded against the title to the real property. If the landlord and the real estate manager of a national retailer both execute a lease and the corporation fails to occupy the premises, what might prevent the landlord from enforcing the terms of the contract? A, the real estate manager had authority to make the deal. B, no corporate resolution granting signing authority to the real estate manager was approved. C, the broker did not have a written listing. D, the economy declined and the retailer was closing other stores. B is correct. The signing authority was not the correct or approved. Looks like we got that all correct. Next question, which is not an essential element of a real estate contract? A, lawful and possible objective. B, offer and acceptance. C, valuable consideration. And D, good consideration. D, good consideration. Contract must support valuable consideration. We understand that. Consideration is usually in the form of, a good consideration is usually in the form of love or affection. While it is not without value, it is readily ascertainable. Value cannot be calculated. So yeah, good consideration is typically not part of a real estate transaction, yet so many people do have love and affection towards their property, so it might feel like we do. A broker deposits a, excuse me, start that over. A broker deposits a $500 earnest money check into a broker's personal checking account. The broker is guilty of A, cooperation, B, condemnation, C, capitalization, or D, commingling. Commingling is correct. It's where you're mixing personal funds with earnest money that has to go in a separate trust account. Next question, a condition or contingency in a contract may be waived by the broker or broker for the buyer. B, the party benefiting from the condition contingency. C, lender's appraiser, or D, broker for the seller. So condition or contingency in a contract can be waived by B is the correct answer. The party benefiting from the condition or contingency. 100% correct. Looks like we all got that. Moving on, a purchase and sale agreement stipulates the earnest money deposit be placed in a separate interest-bearing account with any interest earned split between the buyer and seller. This is not okay. The broker should resign, re-sign the listing. B, money laundering. C, against law. D, okay, because the buyer and seller have agreed to it. Again, a purchase and sale agreement stipulates that the earnest money deposited in be placed in a separate interest-bearing account with any interest earned split between the buyer and seller. Believe this is the correct answer because the buyer and seller have agreed to it. Now, typically they don't go in interest-bearing accounts yet. If the buyer and seller agree to it, that can happen. A buyer makes an offer subject to reviewing the results of a home inspection. After the home inspection, the buyer is ready to move forward with the deal. Which does the buyer agent need to do at this point? A, required sellers make recommended repairs listed on the inspection report. B, prepare an addendum removing the contingency. C, recommend that the buyer get an appraisal of the property. Or D, advise the property to renegotiate the purchase price. So it's a little bit of a trick one. The answer they're looking for is prepare an addendum removing the contingency, and the reason why A is not correct, even though the buyer has the right to request the repairs at that point, it states here after the inspection the buyer is ready to move forward with the deal. So if they're ready to move forward with the deal, all they have to do is prepare an addendum removing the contingency. They could, after the inspection, negotiate repairs or negotiate a purchase price change. But the only reason they are not doing that is the buyer is ready to move forward. The buyer has the right to say, hey, the roof is leaking and I'm okay with that, or whatever the challenge could be. Next, when a buyer makes an offer to buy a house for $50,000, the seller does not accept the offer, but responds to the buyer, he will accept no less than $55,000 for his house. The seller has just made a bilateral enforceable contract. B, counteroffer. C, unilateral enforceable contract. Or D, an option. B is the correct answer. He's more or less just making a counteroffer. There is no contract until both parties agree. An option is something completely separate. Which are liquidated damages? Paper money that has been soaked for 24 hours. Losses suffered when liquidating a business. C, an amount the parties agreed on to settle a potential dispute. Or D, a cashier's check used to empty a broker's trust account. C is correct. An amount the party agrees on to settle a potential dispute. That is what liquidated damages are. Luckily, nobody had on there A, paper money that has been soaked for 24 hours. Moving on, a seller and buyer agree on terms of a purchase and sale agreement and are now waiting for closing to occur. Unfortunately, because closing occurs, the improvements on the property are struck by lightning and totally destroyed. The buyer may terminate the contract. B, all the answers listed. C, accept the property as is. Or D, accept the property and claim the insurance proceeds. E is correct. Next question, a listing agent shows a buyer a home, then fills out an offer to buy the home, which a listing agent takes and explains to the sellers. The sellers like the offer and sign their acceptance of it. They then hand the accepted offer to their agent with instructions to deliver the accepted contract back to the buyer. At this point, all of the following statements are true of this offer, except the offer was accepted by the sellers. The listing agent now has possession of the accepted offer. The sellers have not relinquished control of the acceptance. D, the accepted offer doesn't need to be communicated or delivered to the buyer. D is the correct answer, that must happen until it's not an accepted and delivered contract until it's actually been delivered. So that's what the answer is they were looking for. And that is how we're going to stop the session tonight with a 15 out of 15, 100% result there. So thanks so much for joining in. Again, take this very seriously. It's going to be a very big test you all have coming up. Let me just get back here. Take it very seriously. Go through your notes tonight. Go through your photos you took of the answers you've got. Keep studying, keep coming to these sessions. I hope it's helpful. I believe Mike will be back on for all of you next week, and then I will get you once you pass the test, and I'll show you exactly how to get homes sold how to get into the practicality of the business, how to invest in real estate, how to help your buyers invest, how to help your sellers sell their investments, buyers buy your normal retail homes, whatever we can do to help, we are here to do so. So thanks so much for joining in, and we'll see you all soon.